Shady Matt UK here with a review of the Crkt M21-14Sfg. This is the version with the G10 scales and the VEF serrations, which I'm a big fan of. I'm not really a fan of serrations on blades, but these things are fantastic. They cut really well. They're easy to sharpen. Unfortunately, I can't seem to get very good focus on those, but take my word for it, they're bloody good. It's a very large knife. It's aimed at military personnel. It's got an overall length of 9¼ inches and it weighs in at 6.1 ounces, so it's pretty much the heaviest knife I have. The blade on this is 3.875 inches. It's a spear point with a very deep belly. The blade steel is 8CR14 MOV with a titanium nitride finish, just to give that extra little bit of protection. It features the auto lock system that I know a lot of people aren't very keen on. Crkt seem to be very big on their different safety options that they have, you know, with their fire safe and the locks and the auto locks. It takes a bit of getting used to, but you just pull back on the auto locks, disengage the liner, and with this dual flipper design it's quite easy to just push up on the back there and just use this small thumb stud to close the blade. It's very hard to open with the thumb stud. It's not really designed for that. It's more there for just a blade stop, I think, against the handle. Opens very nicely with the flipper. It doesn't need much of a flick of the wrist to get a good smooth action, just because it's such a big heavy knife. But it's a very good blade. It's one of those that's very limited in use. I mean, it's far too big to carry daily as an EDC option. But again, a bit like the Hammond Cruisers that I reviewed, I think it'd be a very good pack knife, or even, you know, a knife to have with you as a backup if you are military personnel or in the police force, etc. It came really sharp. I was surprised by this. I mean, I've got quite a few Crkts and I've been a bit disappointed in the blade finish. They've never been very sharp out of the box, but this one kind of came razor sharp. I mean, you can shave with it. You probably don't want to. I don't think VEF serrations are the best design for shaving, but I'm sure it'd make a good video. This version differs from the more expensive version. The more expensive version of this has aluminium handle scales, also has the triple point serrations, and it's a different blade steel as well. I can't remember off the top of my head what it is, but it's not the 8CR14 MOV that's featured on this version. I prefer this over the higher costing 14SF. I prefer the G10. I prefer the grip. It's not super grippy, but it has a lot more traction than aluminium scales. I used to have an M16 10KZ which had the aluminium scales, and it just it doesn't feel very good in the hand grip wise. I mean, that was nice and small, you didn't really need it, but on a big blade like this, I think the G10's a very good option. I don't think it's going to be affected by temperature as much. I don't think it's going to heat up or get very cold. I think this is a very good option, and at a lower price point as well. I much rather prefer these VEF serrations to the standard triple points that you tend to see on the majority of blades which feature partially serrated edges. The 4-position pocket clip on this, I guess it's good if you were going to mount it on gear. I have this set up for tip down. I did have it set up for tip up one day. I took this out and I wore it with my combats when I was doing some work with a friend. It was very heavy in the pocket. Obviously 6.1 ounces isn't light by any means, but even Crkt mentioned that you shouldn't carry this tip up in the pocket, primarily because of this dual flipper design here, which creates the the full hilt. When it's riding in the pocket up like this, you can get some movement, and perhaps you could get nudged just enough to pop the blade out just a bit, and I'm pretty sure you're going to know what's going to happen if you put your hand into a pocket with a knife which is sitting like that. So I think if you were to carry this in the pocket, tip down is the best bet. I quite like tip down carry for some larger knives. I think it's quite easier to just grab the knife from the top as you draw from the pocket, just turn it around and it's there. I don't think the tip up carry is a necessity, as a lot of people seem to think it is, especially on tactical and defensive knives. They seem to think that you get a much faster deployment. I think it all depends on how you go into the pocket to get the knife out in the first place. A couple of things they've done on this is they've skeletonized it. The skeletonized G10, you've got these 4 larger holes and some smaller holes around the outside. On the liner lock side, there's only 3 of those. You can see that I'm not sure if you can see on the inside there, the liners are skeletonized along with the handle in the same place, and here you can just make the liner out on the inside. The actual side with the lock just has a big split down the middle of it, obviously because you need to be able to disengage the liner. But it's I think it's a good knife for the price. There's no fancy blade steels going on. They retail at around $80, but you can pick them up for $55. I think I picked this up in the UK. Unfortunately, with import duties and the such in the UK, knives seem to be really expensive. So I paid, I think it was £62 for this, which is pretty tragic. It works out in dollars at about, pretty much at retail, it works out about $80. I don't have any use for it when I bought it. It's just I remember seeing it and just thinking, I really like that, I want it. This dual flipper design is good, I think, in a combat situation, and also just to stop the hand sliding up onto the blade. It's good in a traditional hammer grip. It makes it a little bit awkward if you're trying to post up with the thumb. It kind of gets in the way for that. So I think this is more, getting a good solid hammer grip or having in the reverse grip works well. So there you go, that's the Crkt M21-14Sfg designed by Kit Carson. Thanks for watching.